good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on which part of the world you're listening in at or watching us at. My name is Punit Oza. I'm the founder of Maritime NXT, investing in essentially the next in maritime. And that's one of the reasons why I'm very excited about doing this podcast here in the Human Energy series of Chevron with two very interesting people. As I said, I've told this earlier to people that every drop has an equal impact on the ocean. But the fact is that that drop is creating an impact which is eventually trickling down to multiple drops going forward. So I really feel that any solution that has the potential of solving pain points in the industry must be discussed, must be talked about. So let me welcome Ayten Yavuz, General Manager of Chevron, and Glen Phua, Regional Manager of Chevron Marine Lubricants. So Ayten and Glen, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So today we are talking about a solution from Chevron called Chevron Fast and related solutions, which are obviously very interesting from a perspective that they actually do solve a pain point. So I think maybe you want to start with this and say, why Chevron Fast and what does it actually alleviate in terms of pain points?
Yeah. So our fast services is actually used oil analysis, oil condition monitoring. So what we're trying to accomplish and what we want to accomplish is actually make simple seafarers' life simple.
Mm.
When a ship is sailing from one place to another, the crew has to look at a lot of things.
True.
They have a lot of things on their mind. And so what we're trying to help them is make it more efficient, see how the vessel can efficiently sail. They don't have to worry about the condition of the oil when they do the tests by using our services. How can the vessel be more efficient? Because it's important when a product or goods are transported from A to B, the customer on the B side wants that product to arrive there on time.
Absolutely.
So what we're doing with our oil condition monitoring is make the vessels sail more efficiently and reliably. So minimizing fleet interruptions and for the customer, but also for the end customer.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're trying to accomplish with our fast services.
Absolutely. And you're very right, because the end customer is something who doesn't have that connection with what we are doing in the industry. And he only sees the fact that the apples are missing from the supermarket shelves and wonders what the hell's going on. So you are really trying to basically create that ability to make sure that those apples are in those shelves, as we call it. So that's very interesting. And that's the purpose behind it. Another thing which I find very interesting about what the fast solutions are looking at is to really make sure that you have the ability to connect them with the sustainability in terms of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I know that, for example, you have got the UN Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is to do with quality education. There's one about affordable energy. That's the number 7. And the number 9, which is about infrastructure, industry, and innovation. So how do you see this product as being innovative? How do you see this as being something which is adding something more? Because innovation is really about trying to change the status quo and rethink what the parameters today are. What do you think the product actually achieves in that purpose?
Well, by using our fast services, it's also helping on the predictive maintenance. It helps to reduce the life cycle costs over the long term. So looking at your TCO, it helps to condition, to look at the condition of your oil.
Mhm.
Is there any wear on the equipment, and how can you then prevent that? So that's going to help use less oil, but optimize it.
Absolutely.
So yes, we may not be able to sell more, but at the end, it's about helping the seafarers, helping the ships be more efficient. And efficiency is absolutely going to help on the SDGs these ships are looking for.
Absolutely. And I think preparedness is very important, because in my mind, if you have an advanced warning of sort because of predictive analytics or preventive analytics, you can actually get a lot of things done at the right time. Tramp shipping especially, I know because I've been involved with it, doesn't have a fixed sailing route.
Yeah.
And if you really know where your challenges might lie in terms of your equipment or oil, you can actually be a lot more smarter in terms of procuring stuff at the right time, at the right place. Glenn, if I can come to you and also try and you can bring in your perspective from
Sure.
Asia specifically in terms of the fact that do you see this as being very directly impacting some of your customers in Asia? Because growth in this part of the world is at an astronomical pace.
Yep.
How do you see that impacting your customers?
I think the whole system works in different ways, and the impact comes in different fronts, right? As you said, Asia is very centered around shipbuilding, right? We have the biggest shipyards out here in Asia, and the fast system is also a critical component when the ships are constructed and are due for delivery. All the oil monitoring tests are being done on new batches of oils that are put into the equipment, testings, and that also runs into your insurance and all your certifications as well.
So the knock-on impact. Yes.
Correct. So that's the first part of it before the vessel starts sailing. And then the second part, of course, is trying to manage the engine optimization process, fuel efficiency, of course, from a lubrication perspective. So I think from a customer's perspective, especially for the new ships that are coming out, I think it's extremely critical that they have this component embedded within their systems and their processes. And that will help them to not only manage the vessels themselves, but also for the crew themselves to manage the ship while it's sailing through the waters as well.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. And in fact, let me come back to you, Ayten. In terms of the fact that this is also furthering the digitalization space, right? Because I've been involved with technology in maritime also, and I find that whenever and wherever technology comes in, one of the most common challenges in maritime is the human interaction and the errors which can potentially come through. Not because of their own deliberate errors, but it can be fatigue. It can be lots of reasons why it actually happens. But technology is able to kind of surmount a lot of those challenges. How does this product actually allow digitalization to come forefront of a solution? Because obviously, the monitoring of these challenges, monitoring of these aspects is now digital, isn't it?
Yeah, so we've recently launched our upgraded dot fast analyzer. So that's
Right.
an analyzer that seafarers can use on board. It's very intuitive. There's a step-by-step guide. So again, I talked about simplicity. The crew on board it needs to be self-explanatory.
Yes.
So this new tool also has a touch screen. It's Bluetooth available. Gives them the opportunity to quickly have a check on the oil monitor. And added onto that, they can send samples into our lab. So it's backed up by technical support onshore. So they can do the first analysis on board.
Right.
It's digitalized, it's Bluetooth available because nowadays all these ships also have Wi-Fi. So it's quick connection. And those are the things that is one part of the digitalization we've looked at is how can we make those tools even more efficient. And then the second one is what we call the fast onboard app. So we have an app where they can track the samples they've sent onshore. They can track the reports. They can pull up the reports. And then we have our fast reporting system, which gives them an overview on different vessels. They can look at an annual report.
Right.
It's always supported by we call them our fast team. So our
Sure.
technical team that's onshore who helps them to monitor it. So it's all digitalized. It's looking at how can we, again, make life easy, but also intuitive. Like you said, human error. How can we take out those human errors? And then the last thing I want to mention is we also renewed our sample bottles.
Right.
So they're now much more transparent. So if you look at the bottle compared to the previous one, this one gives a good view on the oil.
Right.
And then we've also optimized it and avoiding the leakage. So there's a lot of things we're doing both on the digital side, not just for our fast services, but especially on that, but across the board, because that's what the world is going to.
Absolutely. And I think those small things, like you mentioned, transparent bottles, makes a difference. I mean, having been involved in the operations and the commercial side in shipping in past, I know that it's a nightmare sometimes to collect documentation for a bunker claim. The quality claims and everything else that comes along with it, it's a huge issue. And having also looked at the legal side of things, sometimes it's that documentation, it's that ability to collect the information and present a case that actually resolves the case much faster because people know what is what.
Correct.
And that's sometimes the gray area goes away, and then people know what their positions are, and that makes it easier. So there are so many knock-on impacts which I think this can actually generate.
Yes, and that fast onboard app is going to avoid data loss. When you have it on paper, anything can happen.
Yes, true.
But when it goes up to the cloud, it's there to stay. And that's really what we're looking at is, again, how can we use the digitalization to save time, but also to avoid data loss? Like you said, you may need it at some point.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes, in fact, most of the time, people don't want to have a dispute if they can avoid it.
Correct.
It's just the lack of information makes it a case 50-50, and then everybody starts fighting over it enough. But anyway, I think the idea is that you also are directly, we mentioned this multiple number of times, you're actually really trying to empower the seafarers as well. Because I know that seafarers are literally the unsung heroes of the industry and of the world, if you ask me. And really speaking, anything that can make their life easier. And by the way, I'm pretty sure about the fact that with all these new technologies coming, new fuels coming, it's going to be a handful of things on their hands. And that means that you need to actually make some things easier for them as well. I used to have a seafarer used to come to me and saying, next time you put a new system on board, can you take one away? Unless and until you're able to do that, it just adds and piles on. So obviously it's something where you guys are able to do that. Is seafarer preparedness an integral part of what you're looking at? Do you actually see the ability to train the seafarers intuitively, but also explicitly in terms of trying to actually get more things happening? Asia is obviously at the forefront of that discussion. Singapore has been very active in building competence as such. Do you see you contributing to that space as well?
Yes. Again, I think Chevron has taken different steps in to try and proactively, match up to where the industry is shifting towards as well. Again, there are many pull factors now in the market with emerging fuels, with regulations that are changing overnight, with things that are coming out from different places. And I think where Chevron is positioning ourselves is to make sure that we are there to be able to support our customers, the ship owners and the seafarers. So both from a technical perspective, as you said, we have engagements that we do with the OEMs.
Right.
We have people on the ground in the shipyards where the ships are being built, technical people in the various hubs that we can send on board the vessel as well. And that helps us to, in a way, train the seafarers on board with loop charts, technical data, what products will go into what equipment, making sure that the chances of errors are reduced.
Right.
And that's all part of the whole package that we put together from a marine lubricants perspective, right? It's not just products, it's service, it's after-sales service, it's technical service.
Absolutely.
And I think we have the network support throughout the region in Asia and the world to make sure that our customers can get that support when they need it. And more importantly, again, like you said, I think it still comes back to making it as easy and simple for the people, the crew on board, to be able to manage and run the vessel smoothly.
Absolutely. And I fully agree with you on the simplicity part of it, because if you look at a product like Apple, for example, one of the reasons why it's so easy for people to use more and more of these apps from their app stores is because it's just easier to download, simple instructions, get on with it and start using it. And they are also, as I said, solving a problem, because if you need something to be procured, it's able to do that. And that's how the app actually makes sense. Obviously, you guys are in that same space as well. Let's kind of continue with this idea of the alternate fuels. You are looking at this as a way of kind of adding value across with the new fuels coming in, changes happening. How easy is it for you to kind of tweak and enhance the offerings with all these changes that are going on with alternate fuels? Is the product going to evolve organically?
No, good question. And again, I think over the last couple of years, as these emerging fuels are coming up, right now, it's still a lot of the future fuels are still in the testing phase. There are some vessels which are running, but the process to get these approvals are long.
Sure.
Right. And I think Chevron has started the process probably close to 5 years ago with a series of new products that we have launched. the Category 2 product that we have launched, Taro Ultra Advanced 40, and now with a new focus on the gas engines with the HDEX products that we have. So, the entire testing process will take 2 to 3 years.
Sure.
Sea trials, engine test bits. That's the process I think that we have gone forward on, and I think we're committed to push through all the way. With regards to emerging fuels, you've got different streams depending on who you talk to.
Of course.
Right? You have methanol, you have LNG, you have ammonia, you have hydrogen. I think the key message from us at Chevron is we are ready to support the customer whichever direction they decide to go. Our cylinder oils that have been updated and newly formulated as well will meet the requirements for these emerging fuels.
Sure.
So we are confident that we have the full slate of products that we can manage and support the business as it goes forward.
Interesting. Very interesting. Obviously, situation is, forgive the pun, very fluid anyway. So you can't really, get more information at this point of time.
Correct.
But good to know that there's a readiness inbuilt in that system, which is important for us. So maybe we can just, towards the end, get your perspective, Ayten, and then Glen, your perspective on how you see Asia Pacific as a growth engine. Because in my mind, Asia Pacific is now dominating the global trade flows. But more importantly, it's also a market which has got multiple layers. If I can say this very confidently, that there are different players in a different set of requirements from each of them. They're operating in different markets. It's a very much layered market. How do you see it from a kind of a global perspective, how Asia Pacific has developed for you? And then maybe you can go and deep dive into that, a couple of thoughts on that.
Again, simple, right? We are a global marine lubricants organization within Chevron.
Right.
But not just that. So we have our one Chevron approach, which is a customer-centric approach for all the departments within Chevron supporting the maritime industry.
Right.
So that's us in lubricants. We have our fuels team. We have our additives team. We have our Chevron shipping. So we work together to see how can we focus on having a seamless customer experience and use the different capabilities in each of those departments. So we work together. Now coming to Asia Pacific specifically,
Right.
is we have a team here, like with Glen and the team from the sales perspective, but we also have our support organizations. We have our technical people. We work very closely with the customers here. Like tomorrow, Glen and I are going to Japan for a technical seminar with our Japanese customers. We have done similar seminars in China and in Korea also this year. So we're looking at Asia as a growth market, but also a market which we want to continue work on. Glen already mentioned shipyards in China, many, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Philippines. So we're supporting our customers globally, but also here specifically in
Because
Asia.
The growth that you see happening is obviously helping you guys learn more as well.
Absolutely. And that's why we put a lot of focus on also the supporting the Asia market with people based here locally.
Absolutely. And you have been involved in the market. So obviously you have seen the growth firsthand in some ways, but also interestingly, if you can just put your thoughts together as to, where do you see this growth engine moving for you guys in terms of, is it more about the awareness, knowledge, and the greater amount of usage that you're looking at?
I think it's a combination of everything. As Ayten mentioned, right, it's not just your traditional shipbuilding countries now that are emerging. With the shipyards being very full, you've got Vietnam coming back up, you've got Philippines, which is re-engaging. And then, of course, you get the big ones like India, which has a big shipbuilding plan that's going to come in, investments that are coming in.
Sure.
So I think in the whole Asia Pacific region is still very, let's say, dominant in that front. And I think that dominance is going to continue. Despite all the challenges that they have, it's still a very resilient market.
Sure.
And I think that breeds well for us here at Chevron as well. We've got a big focus here in Asia Pacific with a full team, from supply chain to sales and commercial and all. And that's put us in a position where we can compete. And I think that more importantly, we can meet the expectations of the customers.
Absolutely. That's what is important. So thank you so much, Ayten. Thanks so much, Glen. Hopefully, you guys keep selling and giving the service to your customers who can get those apples on the shelves as quickly as possible and probably as fast as possible, because obviously that's what you're looking at. Thank you very much for your time.
You're
Thanks a lot.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.